Welcome back to the Stress Control Summit. Today we are with Les Watson. Les is coming from Australia, and he has created some expertise in time management. He's working for 35 years already, doing coaching, and he has really developed a passion to help people on how to manage their time. So Les, introduce a little bit yourself. How do you helping the clients, to manage their time
and manage their stress, reducing stress by managing time. It's great to be here, Martin. Hello, everyone. Get More Time was created because a lot of people asked me, how did you get so good at getting things done? How did you get so good at creating your goals? And it wasn't a matter of I had this all my life. It wasn't that way at all. I was at one point nicknamed Drifting Dennis because I was all over the place. And I don't know if you can relate, those that are listening and watching, because it is one of those times in my life where I went, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I was just drifting. And I came across a very good teacher, mentor. His name was David Allen. He wrote the other good book on time management called Getting Things Done, or the GTD methodology, and that seminar changed my life. So in doing so, what happened was I then got focused. I had a process I could follow to create more of the results that I wanted. And I then went and did that. So I started hitting my goals, creating what I wanted, ended up from not knowing what I was going to do, going overseas and doing a 40-day seminar. And people over time kept saying, what are you doing? How are you doing that? And Get More Time was birthed. And it enables people to get more of a handle on what they do, how they interact with time. What is their interaction? And I wrote a book called Get Back an Hour in Every Day, because people have too much to do and not enough time to do it in. And I come along and go, here's some very simple tools, techniques, and methods that they can put into their life to create more of what it is that they want in the time that they have. So I'm not actually making 25 hours in a day. That's not what I do. But given that we've all got 24 hours, how do you work with that? How do you work with that? What is that? How do you create more in the time that you have with less stress? Because one of the things that people say is, I really want control of my life. I feel like I'm out of control. And I go, yep, I can understand that. And you're not the only person. So I give them back control. And what happens when you're in control, your stress level goes down. And a lot of people go, I would love my stress levels to go down. So how's that for an introduction, Martin?
Yes, I think, can imagine if that changed your life so much that you're passionate about passing it on to other people as well, and teaching the same thing. So you spoke a little bit about getting distracted, let's start right there. What techniques you have for people to focus when they're distracted in something?
So first of all, a lot of the stuff that I do is around awareness. Are you aware that you are distracted? And if you're aware, that's the first point. Well, don't give that a tick. I'm aware that I get distracted because I'm doing this and a shiny bright object says, come over here. So I go over there and another one takes your attention, another one, another one, another one. So you keep on getting distracted by all these things and not focusing on the task at hand. So the number one is awareness. Number two is actually pinpoint what they are, name them. So my email distracts me from focusing on what I'm writing, or social media distracts me from what I'm doing, or my colleagues or my friends or my family take me away from the focus that I have at the moment. So what are the distractions that distract you? What takes you away from the task at hand? Because if you can pinpoint them, if you can name them, then you can do something with it. For example, if email is one of those things that distracts you from the task at hand, for example, I'm writing a second book and I'm writing the book, I'm penning, and a ping goes off. called "You've Got Mail," or I'm doing it on my computer and a pop-up happens called "Hello, you've got mail." And I say, I'll take one step back. I was working with a particular executive one day and I said, "What was that?" He said, "Oh, it was my laptop going off, telling me I had an email." I said, "Well, what was that noise on your phone?" "Oh, it was the same thing on my phone." And I said, "Have you ever thought of taking the notifications off your desktop and your phone?" He went, "What? Am I allowed to do that?" So of course you're in control. So what he immediately did was take the ping off, so the audible signal that you've got a mail. He took the visual ping, the visual pop-up off his laptop or his computer, and he took the sound and the pop-up off his phone. So when an email comes in, he didn't even know. So that can be a distraction. It's like I've got my headspace here, and an email comes in. If that's not ringing, if that's not pinging, if that's not popping up, then I'm just focused on this. And I'm focused on this, and I'm focused on this, and I'm focused on this. Let me grab something. There's a technique called the Pomodoro technique. And the Pomodoro from the Italian tomato, because this timer looks like a tomato. And what happens is you can set a timer like this for, say, then the Pomodoro technique is 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off, but you can do the writing for 25 minutes and not be distracted by anything else. Close everything else down. Yes, close your email client down. What? Since when can I close? Yes, close your email client down, because you close it down and then open it back up again. And do your work, called writing for me, do the work for 25 minutes and then do 5 minutes of something else. So 5 minutes checking email, 5 minutes of checking social media, 5 minutes of taking a walk, whatever it might be. And then you come back and go, what's the next task that I need to do for 25 minutes? So the Pomodoro technique works when you are just focused on one thing. So distractions happen. We understand distractions happen. However, you're in control of your life. You don't have to let the distractions get in the road. How's that sound, Martin?
Yeah. Speaking about notification, like for me, for myself also, the only notification I really want is my calendar. No? Everything else.
And similarly on the phone. So I've got my phone, and that notification is, here's your next meeting. So is that reminder. And we have the artificial intelligence, we have the phone, we have certain alarms on the computer that become our executive assistant. They become our secretary. They become our man Friday or girl Friday that say, oh, by the way, Martin, you have a meeting in 10 minutes time. And you go, thank you very much for that. I'm going to finish this up, do my prep and go to the meeting. So the opportunity with something like a phone or any sort of alarm is that assistant that says, you need to stop doing that writing now, Les, and go and do something else. Or you need to have a break. Or it's now lunchtime. Martin, there's a whole lot of people that don't have lunch. And I go, why? Oh, I get too busy. And I go, I'm very regimented. If you tried to book me during lunchtime, you wouldn't be able to book me because it's not in my calendar. There's lunch in my calendar. Why? Because I know that if I go hammer and tongs, if I go flat out in my morning and I've had a good breakfast, by the time I get to lunchtime, I'll have depleted my reservoir of energy to the point where I need to be refueled. And that's how hard I go. I'm going really hard here and then bring on lunch. And in doing so, I can then refuel and go again in the afternoon. Now, yes, my lunch is a salad. Why? Because I don't want to be distracted by a very large lump of hot meal sitting in my tummy after lunch. And I go, yeah, that's not going to work for me. I'll just fuel it with a salad. And what that does is lifts me back up and I'm able to go into the afternoon. So make sure that you have a good lunch. It's really important for your productivity and reducing your stress. You don't have to worry about it. You're just refueling to go again.
Yes, and you're speaking in here already about the balance, to know you need some time to rest as well, but it helps for your productivity.
Yeah, it is. And I see one of the things I've got creative success in small business, and one of the 12 happens to be this one here, which is self-care. This one here is self-care. You need to look after yourself. So in the self-care module, I talk about, are you drinking enough water? Because a lot of people, my wife said, you don't drink enough water. Yes, I do. And I went to a naturopath and they said, based on this blood sample, you don't drink enough water. She said, I told you so. So it's good to have people to help you. And even if you think you're drinking enough water, probably you're not. And talk about taking breaks. I have to take a break because I drink so much water that I'm taking breaks on a regular basis. And what that does is enable me to stop, move, come back and start again. So taking breaks, looking after yourself. So in looking after yourself, are you drinking water? Are you getting the nutrition that you need? You try and reduce your stress by giving yourself good nutrition. Why? Because if you are you feeding the car the worst petrol or the best petrol? And guess what? You're the car. So if you're the car, and if you take it out of the car, a racehorse is another one. Are you feeding it the ordinary feed for the horse or the best feed for the horse? Because I'm sure that most of the racehorses in the world aren't given ordinary food. They're giving the best food. So if you're going to do that for a horse, or if you're going to do that for an animal, or the best fuel for a car, what about yourself? Are you eating correctly? Another one on self-care. What about sleep? Are you getting enough sleep? Now, Martin, I don't know about you, and I don't know about the listeners and the watchers, but I need around about 7.5 to 8 hours sleep per night.
Yeah.
And that works for me. What about you, Martin? How many hours sleep do you need a night?
Yeah, just about that. And try to go to bed at 9:30. And then
9:30. All right. So I love that. That's awesome. And therefore, 8 hours after that would be 6. Kind of 5:30.
5:36.
Yeah, about that. So there are times in my life where I've gone to bed at 8 and got up at 4. Now, my alarm, I don't have an alarm. I just naturally wake up. However, when it goes off like that, when internally it goes, it's time to get up, I go, okay, and I'm into the day. So I can do a whole lot of things to look after myself in the morning prior to things happening in my day. So it's not a matter of, oh, I can't get up at 4 a.m. If you're an early bird, then get up at 4 a.m. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're a night owl, getting up later is fine too. But notice what works for you. Are you an early bird, a lark, or are you a late person, an owl? So therefore, looking after yourself gives you that chance of fitting into the slot that fits for you, as opposed to, well, I have to get up in the morning and I have to be an early bird person. Well, maybe you're not an early bird. Maybe you're a night owl. Maybe all of your best stuff gets done late at night. And that's not the way I work. I get my best stuff done early in the morning. So self-care. When I talk about sleep, are you getting the right amount? But also, are you setting your bedroom up to be the most beneficial for sleep? Are you not taking, here's one I get into trouble with. Are you not taking your phone into the bedroom? What? Are you allowed to say that, Les? Of course I've got my phone. It's my alarm clock. I said, that's okay. Are you putting it on the other side of the room? What? On the other side of the room? Yeah, because most people take their phone to bed and they look at their phone, they're looking at the screen. And I'm saying, why don't you stop your screen viewing, whether that's television, tablet, iPad, whatever it might be, or phone at least half an hour before bedtime? Are you reducing the temperature in the bedroom so that it's conducive to sleep, as opposed to it being too hot? It's got to be the right temperature to get those perfect amount of sleep for you. So self-care is a good one, even down to, and I talk about this in the initial part of when I talk Get Back an Hour Every Day. I talk about the cycle of productivity being have an idea and start it, then continue it, then finish it, then acknowledge it. Part of self-care is acknowledgement. Because if you don't acknowledge what you've done in your day, in your week, in your month, and in your year, you end up on the treadmill or the rat race. Why? Because you go start, continue, finish, start, continue, finish, start, continue, finish, start, continue, finish. There's no reward in this, and I don't like it. So some people need to get off that treadmill and start to reward themselves. And rewarding can be as simple as a tick. I've done that, I give it a tick. Or it can be a highlight. Or it can be buying yourself lunch or buying yourself dinner or
Just
buying
look
something.
back how much you have accomplished and see, you have
I
made
love
progress.
it.
Yeah.
I love it because even for us as in a Western society, we look at what we do at the end of the year, and most of us take a break and reward ourselves by taking a break. That's a reward. That's an acknowledgement of a job well done. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm just going to rest and let my stress levels go. So that's sort of self-care I'm talking about. What do you think, Martin?
Yes. It's for sure, so it should be a priority to know how can you be more efficient in what you do. You need to be the best of yourself first.
Yep.
Now about prioritizing. How to prioritize your tasks. When you're overwhelmed, you don't know where to start.
I get a lot of people say that. I do not know how to prioritize. And I go, prioritization is easy. It's just A's and B's. Okay, Les, what's an A? I'm so glad you asked, Martin. An A is, the definition of an A is if it doesn't get done, the brown smelly stuff is going to hit the round twirly thing. And that's an Australian colloquialism of the shit is going to hit the fan. So no one wants the shit to hit the fan. What they want is to have things go smoothly. And the way to do that is to prioritize your A's. Now, an example of an A is if it doesn't get done, you're going to lose a contract, you're going to lose a client, you're going to lose money, or you're going to lose your reputation. That's the definition of an A. For example, have you ever in your life said to yourself, I need to pay a bill today, I'll pay it later? And at the end of the day, you put your head on the pillow and you go, what a day. And then the thought drops in and says, you forgot to pay that bill. And you go, forgot to pay that bill. And you need to get up and you need to go to the computer and you need to handle the bill. Because if you don't pay that bill in that day, it's going to cost you an extra $150, and no one's got time for that. So given that as an example, that's an A priority, and you get your A priorities done early. The earlier the better, because I always say, make sure say again?
You have to out of the way.
Yeah, it gets it out of the road so that you can get on with your day. So get your A's done early so that you don't have the stress of, I need to, and one of the jokes that I have is, I'll pay that bill, I'll pay that bill, I'll pay that bill, I'll pay that bill, I will pay that bill, I'll pay that bill. And the stress of that, you can put that all the way through that, I must pay that bill, I must pay that bill. Or you can just pay the bill in the morning and get on with your day. Now, this comes down to, I'm going to talk about B's in a minute, but this comes down to having a list of things to do in your day, or a to-do list. And for me, I actually have mine in what I call my trusted system. It's a Filofax, it's a planner, it's a 6-ring binder, and my daily schedule sits in my Filofax. So my to-do list sits on the left-hand side, it's right there, and I just open it to today and I go, what I'm doing now, what am I doing now? It has my calendar in it and my priorities, the task, the to-do list. So I've got my A's on there and the others are B's. Now B's are those things that are not A's. In other words, they would be nice to get done today, and if they don't get done, then that's okay, we'll do them tomorrow. Will some of the B's turn into A tomorrow? Yes, and that's okay. Why? Because handle today, handle tomorrow. But get your A's done and get them done early. Prioritization is really easy, but you need to do 2 things. One is leadership. Everyone's a leader, even if it's just leading the dog, but you lead your life, you're making decisions, you're being the leader, you're either choosing this or choosing that, so be the leader, and then follow it up with discipline so that you're making those decisions on an ongoing basis. You're doing the decision making regularly. So A's and B's. Prioritization is very simple. A's and B's, get your A's done first. If you get some of the B's done, great. And don't put too many things on your to-do list. People often say, well, I don't like doing to-do lists because I need to transfer it from one day to the next, and then from that day to the next, and from that day to the next. And I go, guess what? You're putting way too many things on your to-do list. It should be between 5 and 10 things. That will reduce your stress. Now, how does that work? Well, I talk to people about getting things out of your head down onto paper. It's what's called a mind sweep or a data dump. Why do you do that? Well, when I do it with people and I take them through a trigger list of things that they can get out of their head down onto paper, both at home and at work, once they get it out, it takes 15, 20 minutes. Once they get it out of their head, anything that's incomplete, things that they've had a thought of and not started, not continued, continue not finished, finished not acknowledged. Once they get it out, 2 things happen. First thing is people go, oh, look at that list. I'm so overwhelmed now. And I went, well, really? They said, yeah, I was fine when I walked in and now I'm overwhelmed and you did it to me. I said, well, I actually didn't do it to you. They were already there. All I did was drain the swamp. All I did was bring them to the surface so you could see what was incomplete in your life. And all of them are an energy drain. So by getting it out of your head down onto paper, the second thing that happens, people go, woohoo, this is great. I now know exactly what it is I want to do and what I have to do and what I'd like to do. So that in and of itself sits on one list. So some people, like I've had people do 3 or 4 pages in that data dump out of your head down onto paper, and that data dump sits separate. Now, if you've got 3 or 4 pages, that's a lot of tasks. So that's not something that is your to-do list. That's an opportunity to take from your data dump and go, give me 5 to 10 things that I can take out of the data dump and put into my day-to-day that I'm pretty confident that I can do and or have to be done today. So not all of those things need to be done today. Not all of those things are A priorities. And yes, some of them are. So you can bring them over and put them on the today list.
To know your priorities.
For today. So the thing. Say again, Martin?
Yeah, so you need to know the priorities to know what is the thing you're going to work on.
Exactly, and that tends to lead into goals, like what are your goals, and the tasks that you're doing on a day-to-day basis lead towards your goals. And again, some of them are high priority, some of them less priority. You need to work on what's going to give you leverage. It's what I call leverage, or the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20. What's the 20% of the tasks that are going to give you 80% of the result? 20% of the tasks give you 80% of the result. So Wilfredo Pareto, he was an Italian economist and mathematician, and he when he was doing his study, he kind of looked at all of the property, and he said 80% of the property where he was was held by 20% of the people. And you can extrapolate it out that 80% of your sales will be made to 20% of your customers, 80% of your complaints will come from 20% of the customers, those sorts of things, even down to your own wardrobe, Martin, that 20% of your clothes you wear 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So that sort of, when it comes to making stuff happen in your life, it's all about reducing your stress. So what can you do that's 20% of your action that's going to create 80% of your results? So leverage really plays into that and enables the individual to go, wow, I'm not working as hard and I'm still creating good results.
Just another question related to that. Some people who tried, sometimes we have some tasks, we know we need to do it, but we procrastinate. We just wait to get it done. What did you do in this case?
It's great. Procrastination is something that's a bane for a lot of people. And I know we're getting close to time, Martin, so give us an indication of how much time we've got left on the clock.
All right. Yeah, let's go another 10 minutes.
Another 10 minutes, all right. So procrastination. Now, procrastination is something that affects a lot of people. And it's the inability to make a decision. So when we talk about being the leader, that's one of those things of making decisions, making decisions, making decisions. Even if it's the wrong decision, making a decision enables you to move forward. And if it's a wrong decision, you can course correct. So procrastination, let me give you an example. There was a lady who's now very famous. Her name is Mel Robbins. And Mel Robbins was in a quandary. She was procrastinating like all get out. She had a problem in her family where she was procrastinating so much she wouldn't get out of bed. The alarm would go off and she put it on snooze. She put it on snooze. She put it on snooze. And at the last minute, she'd kind of fall out of bed and go, oh, I didn't make the kids' lunches. Oh, now we've missed the bus. And her life was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And you can look it up on YouTube, Mel Robbins. And it's the 5-second rule. So one night, Mel was watching television and she saw a rocket ship and they said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the rocket ship blasted off. And she thought to herself, well, maybe I might do that in the morning. Maybe I might, as the alarm goes off, I won't hit the snooze button. Maybe I might go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and launch myself out of bed. So she went to bed and the alarm went off the next morning and she went, wait a minute, I remember what I said to myself. I'm going to launch myself out of bed by saying 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and out of bed. And she went, well, it can't be that simple. And she got the kids to lunches and she got them onto the bus and that worked. And she went, I'm going to try that again the next day. And it worked and it worked and it worked. She's now an accomplished author on the worldwide speaking circuit because the 5-second rule works and it overcomes procrastination. And you look at the things that happen in your life, how can you make a decision? Even email. Email is great. It's like, I always talked about email being the 4 Ds. Do, dump, delegate, and decide when. If it can be done in 2 minutes, just do it. If it's spam, dump it. If it's not yours and you can delegate it. And if you can't do it in 2 minutes and you can do it later, diarize it or decide when you're going to do it. So do, dump, delegate, and decide when the email comes in. Be the leader and choose one of those 4 things and don't procrastinate with it. Just one of the 4 things. So procrastination, the 5-second rule, 5-second rule, 5-second rule, 5-second rule. So if it's in your integrity to do it within like straight away, then do it. If it lines up with your goals, then do it. If you can do it right now, then do it. For example, it's like pulling, we have an expression, it's like pull up the big boy pants or the big girl pants and do what's tough. Make the decision and act on it. For example, I want to go across a room and speak to somebody and I've got trepidation or I'm scared. And then you go 5-second rule. Thought, is it part of my goals? Yes, I've been wanting to speak to this person for quite a while. Can I do it right now? Yes. Is it in my integrity? Yes. So therefore, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and launch yourself through the room to speak to that person. I'll give you a simple one, a really simple one. The shower. I'm having a really nice shower and I don't want to get out. Who wants to get out of a really nice shower? Not a lot of people. And I go 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I close off the tap and I get out of the shower. Otherwise, I'm there for another half an hour. 5-second rule. So I really want to make a phone call to Martin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pick up the phone because it's in my integrity. I can do it now and it's lining up with my goals. So that sort of thing, don't put things off. If it's in your integrity, you can do it now and it lines up with your goals. Just do it. It's a 5-second rule. It's something that will tend to have people skyrocket into their productivity and reduce their stress by getting stuff done.
Well, I like it very much.
There you go.
That's great.
That's one of my favorites, that one.
Yeah. To wrap it up, do you want to say a little bit more about setting priorities?
Yeah, just the whole thing around prioritization is looking at the A's and B's, but then do you have the energy to do a certain thing? Is it the right time? Can you do it later? And I talk to people about be careful of the later thing because it becomes procrastination. Do you have the energy? Are you in the right context? It's like, it's not the right context to do that. So it's not a priority right now. I'll do that one at home, or I'm at home and I'll do that one at work. So prioritization, again, I talk to people about having a plan for the next day. So writing a plan called planning each day the day before, do it the night before. So the last thing you do prior to leaving your desk at night is map out tomorrow. And what it does,
you know what you're going to do.
Yeah, it reduces your stress levels because it happens that I now know what I'm going to do and I've got all my ducks in a row. I know exactly what's happening. So given that, you have the plan for the day, and when you get into the day, you know exactly. You don't have to then do the planning and go, oh, I didn't think of that, or I didn't plan for that. It's already done. So you can look at your priorities and just make stuff happen from there. So plan each day the day before allows you to, number one, have your stress levels down because you know what's coming up. But number two, already have your priorities set. There you go, Martin. There's a wrap up for you.
I guess I need to do that today because tomorrow I have already quite a bit things lined up. I know I'll get it done. I think that is a good one.
Totally.
So thank you for all these tips you have given to us. If somebody wants to know a little bit more what you're doing, how can they get in touch with you? How they can find out a bit more about you?
Yeah. You can go to my website, which is getmoretime.com.au. However, I do have a particular giveaway, and it's 25 time tips for busy people. And Martin's going to put it in the show notes so you can download it for free. You just put in your name and address and you can download it. It's 25 time tips for busy people. And it's a really good culmination of a lot of stuff that we've talked about today, plus a whole lot more. And it's free. I mean, who doesn't like something free? So if you can download that for free. Anybody else wants anything else from me, just the website, getmoretime.com.au. I'm happy to get into conversation with people, happy to help people come on and are coached by me. Businesses employ me to come in and work with their teams. So nowadays it's worldwide. Why? Because we can do it on Zoom, we can do it on Teams, we can do it anyway. So if it's in person, happy to fly. And if it is over Zoom, it can be done at any time of the day. So happy to work with people. It's been great, Martin. I've really appreciated the opportunity to share this with you people.
Well, thanks. That was great. And don't miss this opportunity. Get these 25 time tips. The link is right below the video here. And yes, I just want to remember everybody, we have a great lineup of different speakers. Come back for the next talks and we will see you again.